Okay, now the script that we created is actually very useful because it uses the sendMail function, which is a generic function that we can use to send emails from our Python code in many scenarios. And it does its job well because it executes a command and it sends the result to an email. But I don't think this script is useful in a real-life scenario because if you look at the command that we're running, you'll notice that in the command, I'm specifying the network name that I want to get its password. So in order for me to use this in a real-life scenario, I need to know the name of a network that the target has connected to so that I can get its key. A better script would be one that can list all the networks that the target computer has connected to, and then get me the password for each of these networks. So let's try to implement a script like this. Now, in order to write this script, I'm actually going to modify the execute and report, but I'm going to do that on the Windows machine. Usually, I like to write my programs in Kali because in real life, you'll probably always be using Kali when you're doing a pen test. So I'm just more comfortable with that. And for you, it's better to be more comfortable programming from Kali. But when it comes to testing and when it comes to making this lecture, I think I can explain it better if I actually modify the script in here in Windows because I want to show you the output in steps before I send it by email. So this will also be a good example for you if you want to modify scripts from Windows, if you weren't sure about the steps that you're going to take or what the output is going to look like. So you can actually install PyCharm on Windows, or you can just install a lightweight text editor called Sublime Text, like I said before, and I'm going to include the link for that in the resources. All you have to do is just download it, click on next, and install it. Once it's installed, you'll be able to see it in your start menu, and I have it in here called Sublime Text 3. And I'm going to open my report and execute script, which is in my downloads, and it's right here. It's execute and report. Now, the goal in our script is first of all to list all the networks or profiles that the target computer connected to. And we can do that as we've seen before by doing netsh lan show profile. So the first command that we're going to run is going to be this command. And I'm just going to paste it in here. Now this command is going to be executed at this line. And this will store all of this output in the result variable. Now I'm going to rename this variable to networks because right now this is not the final result that we want. This is the network names. Now the next thing that we need to do is be able to access this network name right here and this network name right here, and if there are more, obviously access all of them. So we're not interested into the whole output in here, we're only interested in the network names. Now, you probably already know what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Regex to access these values. And to do that, first of all, I'm going to import re, so I'm going to put a comma here and put re. And notice I'm actually using multiple imports in the same line. Usually we use import module name, and then on the next line we do import module name. Right now I'm just importing them all on the same line and I'm separating them by commas. And once I have re-imported, I can use it. So I'm going to use it in here after I get the networks. And I'm going to say my network names is going to be equal to re.search. And I'm going to put my regex in the first argument. And we want to search for anything that starts with profile. So the first thing we're going to do is literally type profile. And then we can expect any number of blank spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put /s to account for one blank space. And I'm going to put a star to say that I can accept any number of blank spaces. This will be followed by a colon, and it will be followed by another blank space. Now, usually I go to Pythex and show you how I come up with this regex, but I think we've done that a lot and it's actually simple enough, and we should be able to come up with this straight away without even the need to use Pythex. So the regular expression that I'm using right now is going to match profile, followed by any number of blank space, followed by a colon, and followed by one more blank space. So it's going to match all of this so far. After this, we want to expect any character. So we can do this by the dot star. And before I do that, I'm going to separate this in two groups. So this is going to be my first group. And I'm going to create another group by putting two brackets. And inside it, I want to match any character. And I want to do that any number of times. So this will literally match all of this right here. Now, if I print what this regular expression will match, let me just show you. So I'm just going to print network names dot group 0. And I'll just run it. Oh, and I forgot to give the string that I want to search for in my regex, and that string is networks. And I should comment the send mail because we're not sending the email right now. And I'll just clear this and run it again. And as you can see right now, it's matching all of the outputs. So it's matching profile and the network name. Now, we tackled this issue before by using a non-capturing group, and that's actually the main reason why I separated my regex in two groups. So I have the second group, which is the one that I'm interested in, and I have the first group, which is only used as a keyword in order to match my interesting text. So I'm going to mark the first group as a non-capturing group so that it's not included in the result, and to do that, we just have to type question mark colon at the start of the group that we don't want to include, which is the non-capturing group, which is the profile in here. So now if I run my code again and actually access group 1 instead of group 0 in here, you'll see I'm able to access my network name. But if you remember the original output that we're getting, we actually have two networks in that output, not only one network. And this is where we're actually going to use something new this time. We've seen the re.search to search for something, and we've seen re.match before. And right now we're going to use re.findAll. And basically this is a function that again uses regex, but instead of only finding the first text that matches the regular expression, it'll actually look for text that matches our regular expression in the whole string. So if there is more than one piece in the string that we're passing in the networks in here that can match this regular expression, it'll match them all and it'll put them in a list. So we actually won't even need to use the groups in here. It will automatically put everything in a list. So now I'm just going to print the network names as is, and it's actually going to print it as a list for me. And as you can see, the result now is a list in which each element is a piece of string that matches the regular expression. So the first element in this list is the first network, and the second element in this list is the second network. You can already see how powerful regex is looking at the number of times that we used it throughout the programs that we wrote. And findAll is actually a very, very useful function because it has a different use than what we've seen so far. And it's a nice way of capturing useful data if it occurs multiple times in a single string, like our example in here. So if we had 10 networks stored on this computer, the command that we're running in here will return these 10 networks, and this function, the findAll function, will automatically create a list of size 10 in which each element is a network name, just like we have in here. Now, I don't want to make this lecture too long. In the next lecture, we'll see how we can iterate over this list and then run a specific command for each element, combine the result of these commands and send it as a single email so that we have a file that when executed on a target system, it'll send all the Wi-Fi passwords that are stored in that system and not a single password like we're doing in the script that we wrote in the previous lecture.